And we are live on Energy Superheroes. Today we have Manoj Kumar Singh, and he's calling in from Bangalore in India, a long way from here. We appreciate him calling in on the time zone difference. It's always a challenge. And Manoj is with Net Zero Think. They do some really important stuff: GHG accounting, ESG reporting, carbon credits advisory, among other things, for hard to abate sectors, including cement, coal, power plants, steel. These are really important areas for the energy transition, and Manoj is making a difference with his firm. Amazingly, they're hitting a lot of countries. They're hitting India, Africa, Singapore, the Middle East, and Australia. He's going to talk to us today with a heavy focus on India and what some companies as well as the government is doing. We're going to get into a couple of case studies, which I think are really important. One case study around green hydrogen. So if you're interested in green hydrogen, this is going to be a good one for you. If you're interested in GHG accounting, advisory, and what you can do as a company to reduce your carbon footprint, I think this is going to be a good one, especially if you've got a focus in some of those countries that I covered countries and regions like in India, Africa, Singapore. So Manoj, it's really a pleasure to have you on Energy Superheroes today. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter. Good to be part of this podcast. Yeah, and good to see you. So I think your Energy Media is going fantastic job. I was going through, lots of podcasts, what you have already uploaded in the website. So it's a very insightful, topic wise, energy, infrastructure, finance, agriculture, lots of things you are covering. So it's good to be part of this forum and to be here.
We appreciate that, Manoj. And as we discussed, I'm an investment banker by day. I'm not really a media personality, but we're trying to make it work. So if to everybody out there, if you like what we're doing, the show is called Energy Superheroes, and we're covering really people like Manoj who are making the energy transition happen and around the world. So please subscribe to Energy Media on YouTube or look up Energy Superheroes on Spotify. You can also follow me personally on LinkedIn at Peter Perry, and definitely check out other episodes. But for today, Manoj, it's really great to have you. What I'd like to cover is, specifically what does it mean and who are the companies that are looking at GHG accounting, ESG reporting, carbon credits advisory, some of the other services you offer? What are the types of companies that care about these?
Yeah. So basically, any company who wanted to decarbonize their business practices and whatever the products or services they are offering, those companies are looking, this type of services and solutions. There are various government, regulations are coming after Paris Agreement. Everyone is looking 2050, 2060, or 2070 to become net zero. So there is a, government level policy, which is, driving this all stuff. And the companies who are, interested to decarbonize their businesses, they are taking actions. And the first step, what everyone is interested is to map their greenhouse gas. So which includes, seven gases as per a greenhouse gas inventory protocol. And carbon dioxide and methane are, one of two most critical gases, which, everyone is looking to account for. So we from Net Zero Think side is basically focusing on first accounting these greenhouse gases based on the energy protocol or ISO framework, whichever, the company is interested in, and then develop, reduction strategies, how to reduce those, emissions from their businesses, which is either scope one, scope two, or sub upstream and downstream of scope three. And then we also starting helping, companies to develop their long term, net zero plans. So when we say in long term, it is like after, 2030 onwards. When we say midterm, so it could be, after 5 to 10 years, that is the time frame what everyone looks in. Coming to sustainability, reporting, which also we are offering. So one of the reporting services are BRSR reporting. It's a business reporting services and sustainability reporting framework, which is applicable in India. So most of the Indian companies, who are listed in stock exchange. So at present, it is around 1,000 companies in market cap wise, it's applicable to them. So they are, it's mandatory for them to start their sustainability reporting as per, BRSR framework from this financial year, 2023, 2023 onwards. So there we are helping those companies, to start reporting BRSR framework. We are helping them to start doing inventory accounting and all. So these are the small steps what, along with our clients, we are taking to, move towards a net zero direction. Now, if you look at, there is another angle where, many companies are interested, that is mainly for manufacturing sector, where the companies are exporting their goods and to certain, countries where there is a, carbon tax, some regulations are there with respect to that. So we, with our services, we are helping those companies as well, who wanted to export their goods and services to developed nation like Europe and US market. So this is about, just what we are doing in sustainability and energy accounting area. Apart from that, we are also working on renewable energies side, where we are helping our clients, develop renewable energy projects, as well as to procure renewable energy power and energy efficiency measures. Also, we are helping them to take energy efficiency measures. As per in India, there is a Bureau of Energy Efficiency. There is one body which has already determined certain, framework to do energy efficiency audit and all. So we are providing those services as well. Same on, if we talk about net zero, so it doesn't only includes energy, it includes water and waste as well. So we are also working on providing, solutions for water conservation wherever there is a, a requirement. And on waste management side also, we have experts would, work with our clients and help them to reduce their waste or manage their waste in cost effective manner. Obviously, that is the ultimate thing everyone is looking, not only to reduce their emission, but also it should be, cost effective so that they can implement very easily without any additional, burden on their overall profit. So, so this is a just general areas where we are already started working on. Now, we are also thinking to go for, developing certain tools in coming years, where with those tools, our clients will be able to do lots of things, themselves as per the, current policy and guidelines, whatever is there or will be coming in the future. So that is another area where we are right now focusing on. And the best thing is, whatever services and solutions I'm talking about, while implementing this, we are also helping our clients to, generate carbon credits. So what are measures we are taking, in terms of energy or water conservation or waste management? We are saving carbon, and that saving we are, helping them to monetize in terms of carbon. So we are also, supporting our clients to, take benefit of carbon credit out of doing this exercise. So this is a, gambit of services what Net Zero is offering. So if you ask me to conclude this, so it's actually we are offering our services and solutions into three verticals. Number one is measure, number two is offset, and number three is reduce. So these are the three areas where we are, offering all the services and
That makes a
solutions.
lot of sense. So measure, offset, and reduce. And it's a good that you point out the customer is able to get some carbon credits, hopefully to help pay for some of these things, right? Because we're all still in business to make money. And we always emphasize that solutions have to be commercial in order to be sustainable. There's two types of sustainability, right? There's the planet sustainability, but then there's also commercial sustainability. And they have to
Right.
meet, we always say they have to meet both of those. Good for the planet. And then they also have to be economically viable.
Right.
So very good. Well, carbon credits is an area that a lot of people are interested in. Are you finding that the price of carbon credits is stable? Is it going up? Is it falling? What are you seeing in terms of, and do you sell primarily into the market in India or is it more of a global market?
So right now, in Indian market, government is coming up with one new framework and developing carbon market for India. So the work is going on. It is expected by 2023 September, some transaction will be starting. So Bureau of Energy Efficiency, that is a nodal body which is handling that work. It's a government of India nominated body. And that work, what we are expecting, it will start from voluntary first and for next 2.5 years. And afterwards, I think 2025 onwards, some compliance market also will be developed. So, yeah. So now coming to the point, how the market is, moving in the carbon space. So if you look at the Europe market, it's all-time peak. Almost we are touching close to 90 euros. China is also, booming up. It's, I think, 20 to 25 US dollar per credit. I think in US also, the market is quite good. In California, the voluntary market, I think there also rates are pretty high. New Zealand also more than 70 US dollar. I think the rate is going on. So if you look at the carbon market in next at least 10 years by 2030, where NDCs are already, committed by most of the countries to reduce their carbon footprint by 40 to 50%, depends on, whatever the declaration they have given. So the demand of, carbon credit will keep on increasing, in mid to, I would say, short to mid term, because now we have very, some regulatory regulation already is in place. And to meet those regulations, immediate investment in uh, offsetting technologies or renewable energy efficiency measures or nature-based solutions, it will take time. It is not going to happen immediately. So what investors are basically looking, till they themselves, take charge of these all technologies and develop themselves. Till that time, they are looking to buy these credits to meet their, compliance requirement, as well as the customers are also demanding, what is the carbon footprint of their business. So to reduce their overall emission level from the business, they have to offset. So they are purchasing, these credits. So I would say in next, 10 to 15 years down the line, the demand of carbon credit will keep on increasing. And even in India also, it will be happening in the same way. And this is a good opportunity for everyone, to invest in this sector, even at individual level.
Yeah,
Why?
we've heard this and we agree with your assessment from a macroeconomic standpoint. And we also think that if the governments implement some sort of carbon taxation, it's only going to drive these demand for credits further and, of course, drive the price up. And there are now regulatory bodies that are governing what is a good gold standard type of a carbon credit. And I think that's a big difference because in the early days, there was a lot of origination of credits that were not really high quality credits. But now that there's developing standards, the it's not so easy to originate credits. And as a result, the demand is increasing and the supply is not going up as fast. So it's nice that I majored in economics because all these things always go back to supply and demand. And it's
Right.
very true that I think carbon credits prices, while they may be very variable and volatile in the short run, I think in the long run, they're going to be going higher.
Yeah, I'll just give you another aspect here. So if you look at overall carbon budget as per 1.5 degrees Celsius, scenario. So we have close to 370 gigaton at present. Okay, by 2030, that is a carbon budget we have for 1.5 degree, temperature scenario. It's a global carbon budget. Now, if you look at, the carbon capture or carbon removal cost. So carbon capture or carbon and storage, that cost is somewhere around 600 US dollar per ton. Average I'm telling about. So 600 US dollar per ton is a cost of removal. And, right now the market price maximum in EU ETS is around, I think, 100 US dollar, somewhere around 1995 euro. So there is still, long difference, almost 500 US dollar, there is a difference for per ton of carbon removal.
Yeah,
So
it's a big delta. What
it's a big difference, and the technology cost is also very high at present, which it is expected in coming years, maybe that removal cost will come down, but still there will be delta. I'm talking about 2030, that is a target year. Even it reaches to 300 US dollar, then even to meet that, there is a delta of 200 US dollar. So it is expected, wherever there is a compliance, in those market, the price of carbon will keep on increasing.
agree. And so, as the government likes to say, this is a carrot or a stick. In this case, it's a stick. If they
Right.
put carbon tax, it's going to become more cost effective to not generate the carbon in the first place. And so that brings me to my next question, which is around this case study on green hydrogen, because I think it's interesting. It seems from what we've discussed before the show that you've been engaged by a US company, which we won't name, but in order to look at feasibility for a green hydrogen project in India. So tell me more about that project, and is it hopeful? Do you see it as potential long run opportunity? And what other opportunities do you see for green hydrogen as a fuel in hard to abate sectors of the economy?
Yeah. So you might be aware now, India has came up with one new green hydrogen mission program where, country is targeting 5 million green hydrogen production by 2030. So 5 million ton, that is a target is set by the government, and the mandate is given to, various sectors. So one of the sector is city gas distribution, so they are also, because it's a very easy to, implement, or you can say handle hydrogen, in city gas distribution network, because the cost of green hydrogen, if you look at including the transportation and storage, it is close to $5, US dollar at present. I'm talking about the average cost.
$5 per kilogram. Is that how you measure it?
Yeah, yeah, it's somewhere in that range, So at this average cost, maybe in some cases it may be 3.5 also, but the average cost is still around $5, per kg. So one of the city gas company, they wanted to experiment, in their distribution network, what sort of things can be done with green hydrogen, like which technology they can choose, which can yield, low cost hydrogen, how much percentage of hydrogen can be added, because there is no such, guidelines and regulations as on date, I'm talking about at national level. So what should be the safety criteria of that? What should be the permitted criteria to inject hydrogen into city gas distribution network? Which technologies can play important role? So we did one feasibility study for them. We assessed the technologies, which all technologies are there, including fertilizer, and even the biomass technologies. And the area where they have their distribution network, in that area, biomass is very much available in abundance. And we found that even if they start looking for, decentralized biomass based, hydrogen generation, and then it may make economical sense, in present scenario compared to electrolyzer route.
A biomass is cheaper. We've looked at it here too. Bottom line is it's more cost effective than electrolyzers. Now, I know that there's a lot of investment being made in electrolyzers to try and drive the cost and increase the efficiency. But
Right.
in today's world, I'd say biomass is more cost effective, just like blue hydrogen, carbon capture storage is more cost effective today than green hydrogen.
Right. So it was like, so the technology, what we had identified to explore. So that was also at TRL level 3 to 4, but it was like not blue, it was a green hydrogen. So yeah, the technology used, we were using, gasification and then converting that, extracting methane out of that, extracting CO2 out of that, and then hydrogen, comes
Well,
from.
because correct me if I'm wrong, but the biomass, if it's laying around, it may be emitting some amount of methane as it decomposes,
Yes.
right?
Right.
So you get a credit for that, which a lot of people don't see. That we've looked at various types of biomass for RNG, renewable natural gas, and hydrogen generation. I know over there in India, you guys have a lot of sugarcane.
Yeah.
That'll be a good source of biomass.
Right. So it depends on the geographies where, the biomass is available. So in that area, we found that was available, and then we found, this type of technologies can be explored. We did the feasibility study, and yeah, so that was the one thing. And then second question was how much, injection is possible. So we did a study, and then we came up with certain, recommendation based on various safety guidelines, international safety guidelines, how much we
You
can
put
go.
too much, you're going to have hydrogen embrittlement of pipeline. Is that right?
Right, right. Because lots of, chemical composition values keep on changing based on, your mixing of hydrogen with natural gas.
And it's curious.
So,
I've seen 5% could be okay, but I don't know.
so
Maybe.
that's why it's not like 5% or 10%. It's like the infrastructure, what the pipe you are using, to transfer that hydrogen. What is the specification or technical, how it is designed.
Right. So
So if you, yeah, if it is, for example, your pipeline is designed, to use 60-70%, blending. So it can sustain. Even we have seen while doing this exercise, we did some case studies and all across the world. So we found in Europe, there are certain, cases where 100% blending people are doing,
wow.
and they are designing a new infrastructure, obviously, based on that
That's
requirement.
interesting. So that's the headline for today. You can do a lot more blending than a lot of people originally thought.
Yeah. So
We've
here's,
had many engineers tell us they're worried about hydrogen embrittlement. So if
yeah.
there's a way to overcome that, I think it would be a big deal.
True. So that's why engineering going to play very important role how we are designing that, pipelines and how we are handling that excellence. So it's quite possible, if we are developing new, infrastructure, there we can play a lot. But if it is existing infrastructure, there we have to see, what maximum is possible, 5% or 10%, what you were saying. So
Very
that is
good.
a,
Well, it's a big area and a lot of people don't realize that you can inject it into the pipeline. And it's also a big challenge of moving hydrogen in other ways. So I we've heard of this in Canada as well, hydrogen generation with a small amount of blending, either of renewable natural gas or hydrogen. Of course, RNG is very easy to do, but hydrogen is more versatile, I think, as a fuel. So it's interesting. What about combusting hydrogen? In the beginning, we talked about steel, cement, coal, power plants, some hard to abate sectors. Are any of those sectors looking at using hydrogen for combustion in their processes?
yeah, I think some steel companies are now interested to, I'm talking about the Indian companies. They are interested to, explore this option. And maybe I would say in next 2 to 3 years, some pilot project will be conducted, in India. And like Tata Steel already started in Europe recently, I think 2 weeks back, they have done some pilot in Europe where they are producing green hydrogen, the green steel with, green hydrogen. So similar things will be replicated here also. Steel sector, we can expect in next 2 to 3 years, some sort of, pilot will be going on. But the demand right now is coming, immediate demand is coming from automobile sector, mainly from, we are running hydrogen trains also in few months. So the some demand will be coming from that. And then fertilizer is also one area where lots of demand already is there. So where, we are converting gray or blue hydrogen and replacing that with green. So that is also one area where, lots of, you can say, ammonia or fertilizer, whatever we are producing, that is replacing, a gray and blue hydrogen with green. That is going to replace. So that is another, demand area. Yeah. So these are, and then city gas mixing, blending, those things are also, being developed where certain percentage blending, everyone has started. And some trial is being done in certain states also. So those are the things, where some traction is happening.
No, it's very good to know. In the United States, we passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which gave us a $3 per kilogram incentive for green hydrogen. And it's actually based on CI score, not color, but still mostly applies to green hydrogen. Is there a similar incentive in India or any of the other countries you track for production tax credit or the other
Yeah, actually,
incentive?
yeah, I think Europe is coming up recently. I think they have came up with certain, guidelines where by 2030, they will be trying to adding more green hydrogen with certain percentage limits and all. So some guidelines is there in Europe, but in India right now, there as such, there is no such category of, hydrogen, green hydrogen guidelines has been developed. But still work is going on. I think in few, maybe 1 or 2 years down the line, some guidelines may come. Because as in US, I was looking, I was tracking even US, this program also where I found, I think it depends on number of how much percentage of CO2 is there in that hydrogen mix.
That's
It
right. It's
depends
a
on that
CI
CO2.
score based.
Yes. And it is, I think for 3% something. I think it was something like that, which is even highest incentive, like $3, whatever you are talking about. So that is a good initiative. I think similar sort of mechanism may come up here also. We'll see. As on date, nothing is there, but still lots of work is going on in this area. Maybe in next 2 to 3 years, some clear guidelines will come and we'll be
No,
knowing
very
more
good.
about this.
Now, speaking of government, you had mentioned some other work you had done with the government around a green jobs initiative. Could you talk a little about that? I think that's interesting
Uh,
within India.
Yeah, actually, we are working with one of the government body called Skill Counseling for Green Jobs. It's a part of Ministry of New and Renewable Energy and Industry Association called CIA. So we have developed one guidelines for greenhouse gas accounting, G protocol. So that guidelines we along with them have developed, and now we are working along with them to develop certain skill based training program on climate change, sustainability, as well as GHG accounting side. So new, people who are passing out from colleges or people who are working in industry and they wanted to move to green jobs, they could be trained in this area because this area, in this sustainability area, G accounting or sustainability reporting areas, there is a huge skill gap because this is a new area what is emerging. So there is a huge skill gap, and we are trying to work with SSEJ, to address that skill gaps.
No, it's interesting you mentioned that. We're in discussions with the potential clients specifically around that area. And what we're finding is that there's a lot of technical skills, including geology and other technical skills that are very relevant today in the oil and gas sector. And the oil and gas sector has very deep and strong knowledge base. And it's going to be a matter of transitioning those skills to the new skills that are required. And some of them have a direct overlap, like geology, for example. Geology exploration of oil reserves or gas reserves is very similar to the skills needed to determine carbon capture and storage potential of a reservoir. So that's an example where those skills can translate. But then there's other skills like GHG accounting, where maybe somebody from a finance background has a more natural expertise in that area. But there has to be a new understanding because a pure finance person doesn't understand the energy and sustainability side of things. So there definitely has to be a reconfiguration of training globally for these kind of jobs of the future.
Yeah, definitely. So because these are the areas which will create future, potential jobs. So because everyone is now transitioning towards net zero and sustainable practices, so these skill sets need to be developed. So where, organizations like SCJ and us are trying to pitch and, address these issues.
No, very good. Well, Manoj, tell everybody in the audience how they can find you. We're getting close to time here, but just tell them how they can find you and who should be reaching out to you for help in India or some of the other markets that you cover?
Yeah. So we are very much available on web. So anyone who is interested to move towards sustainability practices and, and looking for net zero transition, they can reach out to us at www.netzerothinc.com. Our social media page or LinkedIn and YouTube is already there. So anyone can visit. We have inquiry form also in our website for all the services, what we are offering. Anyone is interested on whatever services, they can just click on that inquiry form and we'll be coming back to them. And I would say net zero as the name itself is there. So we are very much focused, to provide net zero solutions. And anyone who really wanted to, go towards net zero transition, they should feel free to reach out to us.
Very good. Well, thank you, Manoj. This has been Manoj Kumar Singh with Net Zero Think, and he's the founder, CEO of the company. They do GHG accounting, ESG reporting, carbon credits advisory in a bunch of places: India, Africa, Singapore, Middle East, Australia. So reach out and be in touch with them. And we'll have this episode posted on Energy.Media. We'll also have it on our YouTube channel, Energy Media, and it'll be on Spotify under Energy Superheroes. Take a look, everybody. Thanks, Manoj. It's been great having you.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Peter. Thanks for having me.